Welcome to all of you lucky enough to be in person today, and those of you joining us virtually. Thank you so much for inviting me to collaborate with you all today. Like Catherine, I wish I was able to join you in person, but I will do my best to convey my excitement and passion for this work from my home office here in Colorado. So my name is Liz Weber. I'm a program manager and researcher at NREL. One of my primary responsibilities is to manage two programs under NREL's state, local, and tribal program. I'm also working on a project with Karin Wadzak and Laura Bechelis, two of my colleagues whom you'll hear from tomorrow, on a project called Reducing Regulatory Barriers to Tribal Adoption of Solar PV. Today, I will be presenting a very high-level view of what community solar is and why it's important. Having a shared definition of community solar is critically important, especially when you start working with all the various stakeholders involved with your project. We know kind of at a high level, the definition of community solar is defined as distributed solar energy deployment model that allows customers to buy or lease part of a larger off-site shared solar array and receive benefits of their participation. It's also very important to understand whose electricity is being shared and who the owners will be. We are here collaborating over the next 2 days to specifically discuss New Mexico's Community Solar Act. So it's key to know how the Act defines these categories that I have defined, that I've outlined here on this slide. Community solar program will allow for development of community solar facilities. The community solar facility is a facility that generates electricity by means of a solar PV device to subscribers. Subscribers to the facility will receive a bill credit for the electricity generated in proportion to the subscriber's share of the facility's kilowatt hour output. And of course, the subscribing organization, the organization who owns or operates the solar facility. And under this act, it can be utility, municipality, a county, nonprofit, for-profit, and an Indian nation, tribe, pueblo, or tribal governance structure. As much as we would like to see solar panels on every single roof in the country, we accept that's not quite possible. But for anyone who can't install solar panels on their property or would prefer not to, community solar makes it possible to still receive the benefits of solar. As we know, community solar projects are large, central solar plants whose electricity is shared by more than a single property. While the size of residential solar installations are measured in kilowatts, community solar projects are measured in megawatts, meaning that a single community solar project can power hundreds or even thousands of homes and businesses. It reduces reliance and is more sustainable, providing larger benefits to more people. There are specific criteria of community solar I would like to briefly touch on. And that's the three that you're seeing here on this slide. One, of course, is the financial benefit, right? So some part of financial gains of electricity generations will be given to the subscribers. It's exclusivity. So there'll be an exclusive set of subscribers within a utility or community that is identified, and it's chosen. So a solar installation will have multiple off-takers or owners referred to as subscribers. These subscribers enter into a contractual relationship with the owner or operator of the installation to receive a portion of the financial returns from a predefined share of the installation's output. Now, as just a reminder, I would also like to recognize what community solar is not. Community solar is similar to and often confused with other types of clean energy electrical rates and incentives, such as group purchasing, green power, and crowdfunding. I've incorporated those definitions into my slides, and this will allow you to as a reference, but I'm hoping that as we move through the next couple days, you'll learn more about these as well. Today and tomorrow, there are some key questions to keep in mind as we hear from our other presenters that will primarily be surrounding all of your community solar projects as you move through them. So to keep in mind, what are the benefits to the tribe and Pueblo? Who will use the energy? How will electricity be delivered? And how much it will cost? And potentially how much profit is there to be made? We will also, I'm sure, discuss barriers and challenges that will need to be overcome. There are so many benefits to tribes and Pueblos, and there's so many, but I've kind of tried to condense it down to these 5 because this is a really exciting time. And like Waheela had said, now is the time. And so I'm hoping that some of these benefits really get you excited about the opportunity available. The first is offset electrical costs, right? So you will stabilize your energy costs. The second is economic development. Private philanthropy can both help fill funding gaps to bring projects to fruition and catalyze new opportunities for tribes and Pueblos to innovate around their energy needs. Energy sovereignty. Tribes have a long history of energy exploitation, particularly with extractive industries. Locally sited and controlled renewable energy offers tribes and Pueblos the opportunity to take control of their energy resources, keep local dollars within the community, and really reap the long-term environmental and economic benefits of their investment. Fourth, opportunity for tribal members to learn about solar installation and related energy issues, work with tribal colleges and workforce development programs to provide students with hands-on solar training and connections to local solar companies, and the ability to offer workshops and energy efficiency education to tribal members. Now 5, this is the last on my list, but I think we could probably in the next couple of days come up with several more benefits. But this is also an opportunity to reduce and mitigate climate change risk and promote environmental justice. Climate change disproportionately affects those who experience socioeconomic inequalities. But the rapid development of community solar can help tribal and Pueblo communities that have the most to gain from cleaner and healthier environment. We know climate change and pollution threatens all of us, but especially those in social environmental justice communities. This map is to highlight the increase of community solar capacity as of 2020. It's nice to see New Mexico on the map, but as we all know, there's a lot of opportunity, especially with this act coming into law, and I really hope we can see several new projects in New Mexico coming online quickly. Cumulative community solar capacity has grown about 121% year over year since 2010. And over 1,000 megawatts came online in 2020 alone. So that's huge. It's a really astounding number. So with the available capacity and New Mexico's Community Solar Act, this will really open the door for great opportunity for tribes and Pueblos in Indian country. As the senator mentioned, NREL was involved with some working groups, and in that working group, there were several archetypes of community solar ownership that emphasize ownership, leading archetype, and revenue flows, which honestly could be an entire presentation on its own. But today I wanted to briefly highlight third-party led ownership. These installations work outside what we call a vertically integrated utility organization at either the generation or distribution level. And as you can see from the slide, third-party ownership is where we see the most capacity and number of projects. A lot of tribes and Pueblos will likely fall under this archetype. Now, you may have questions around the tribe's direct ownership under this archetype, but as an example, a tribal enterprise could be the owner as a third party. So the impact of policy is huge, and policy shapes many aspects of our lives. And now it is also shaping the deployment of community solar. And I believe it's shaping community solar for the better, especially this act, which is also recognizing tribal sovereignty. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the 1 megawatt solar array at Piqueris Pueblo, which generates enough energy to power over 600 homes in the valley, including the Pueblo's residents. This picture was taken on site from one of our NREL PIs, and I'm in love with the landscape, so I wanted to include it today, but I think we'll also be hearing a little bit more on this project tomorrow. NREL does a fair amount of community solar work, so I was excited to add color to New Mexico and to see it join the states that have passed some form of legislation enabling community solar. But as we heard, this is a little unique, right? Because it does recognize tribal sovereignty. And I believe, or at least I hope, that this act will and should be used as a model for other states. You'll notice it's quite striking how much of the map is still gray. So there's a lot of work to still be done in New Mexico and throughout our country. Over the next 2 days, I think it will be important to remember why we're all here. I believe a part of this is because through developing, owning, and operating, maintaining solar facilities, tribes and pueblos can increase their capacity for self-determination, reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and potentially achieve net zero emissions. You know, it's not just about today, right? It's about the future and future generations. And we hear this echoed, you know, constantly. But I really think that's something that we should really embrace. And I optimistically believe there's enough capacity, passion, and determination for the success of many. And I'm excited to see what you all do and where we can go. And I hope that NREL can be a part of that.